Hello, folks. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to the Daily World Pod by Zebra Truth. I'm your host, Thomas Smith, and today we're unpacking a story that's left the scientific world, the environmental movement, and honestly, just everyday people feeling a little shaky. Jane Goodall, the legendary primatologist, conservationist, and honestly global icon, has passed away at the age of 91 while still on tour, spreading her message of hope. Her work changed forever how we understand chimpanzees, gorillas, and maybe even ourselves. And to guide us through this, I'm joined by our guest today. No, not Jane Goodall herself, but the next best thing. Jane, an environmental anthropologist who has worked on community conservation projects. Jane, welcome.
Thanks, Thomas. And what a heavy one today. I mean, Jane Goodall was the name of primate research. But she's basically the Beyonce of wildlife conservation. Honestly, seeing her name trending felt alien. Jane Goodall was basically the rising of conservation. Has tried to study the bits of the to talk about food. It feels like the last page of a really important chapter.
Yeah, and I keep thinking how her life sort of mirrored the rise of public environmental awareness. From crawling through the forest with chimps to speaking at the UN, it's wild. But it's also got me wondering, does the end of her era mean a new beginning? Or are we losing more than just a person?
You know, there's this odd mix of sadness and urgency. Like, Jane Goodall was hope with a ponytail. She kept telling us not to lose faith in humanity, even after witnessing chimpanzee wars and all sorts of messy stuff. It's almost like she passed the baton, and now we're all staring at it awkwardly.
I felt that too. There's this quote from Thane Maynard at the Cincinnati Zoo. He called her the most trusted and beloved person in the history of wildlife conservation. That's a big deal, but it makes me ask, are we honoring that legacy with real action? Or just sentimental Instagram posts and hashtag activism?
Let's be honest. It's way easier to post a quote than to actually change how we live. Jane Goodall's work was about boots-on-the-ground stuff, building schools, working with communities, not just hugging chimps. It's a legacy that demands more from us than a social media story.
That actually reminds me her most famous discovery, watching chimpanzees use and even make tools. Before Goodall, scientists thought only humans did that. It was like, boom, the line between us and them just blurred overnight. Isn't that a bit like how we create boxes in society? Who belongs? Who doesn't?
Yeah, and the wildest part is, her critics hated that she named the chimps and tracked their personalities. But that was the whole point. If chimps have culture, emotions, and even political drama like full-on alliances and betrayals, then our democratic squabbles suddenly look a lot less unique. Maybe we're just slightly more organized primates with better PR.
It's kind of humbling, right? There's that old line, isn't it bizarre that the most intellectual creatures are destroying their own home? Goodall said that. If we're so advanced, why do we keep repeating mistakes our distant cousins made in the jungle?
Funny you bring that up, because when you look at primate groups, chimps, gorillas, even us, the same patterns pop up. Coalition building, occasional chaos, but also empathy. Jane saw chimps comfort each other after fights, but she also saw them wage what basically amounted to war. Kind of sounds like a government session on a bad day.
Definitely, and maybe that's why her story hits so hard right now. Our democracies are supposed to move beyond might makes right, but sometimes it feels like we're just better groomed apes fighting over who gets the next banana, or, in our case, the next vote or headline.
Totally. But she always circled back to hope. Even after seeing the dark stuff, Jane Goodall's last 5 books were all about not giving up. I think that's the bit our generation really needs. Yeah, we get the critique, but we also need a vision of where to go next.
So what if we flipped the script and tried to evolve democracy the same way she helped us evolve our understanding of primates, more empathy, more connection? What could that look like in real life?
Well, for starters, Goodall's approach was all about starting local and thinking global. She didn't just save chimps. She empowered communities, schools, women, village projects. Maybe the answer isn't some giant, impossible fix. Maybe it's supporting the Roots and Shoots program. Or, joining a community garden instead of doom-scrolling about climate change.
I like that democracy is something we do at the dinner table, not just in a voting booth. If we can't protect a patch of forest or help a neighbor, why would we expect politicians to do it all for us?
Exactly. And honestly, it's more fun to plant a tree with friends than argue online about who's ruining the planet. Goodall herself said she hoped her legacy would be giving young people hope and a sense of empowerment. Maybe we take her advice literally and start small, but think big.
So, let's wrap this up. Here's what I'm hearing. Goodall shattered old myths about animals and ourselves, but also showed that progress means facing uncomfortable truths. Democracies, like primate groups, are messy, but they can change if we choose honesty and compassion over ego. Jane, anything you'd add before we challenge the audience?
My only add-on? Don't let the story end here. If Jane Goodall had one superpower, it was her refusal to give up, even when the odds were bonkers. So here's my question. Are you just watching from the sidelines? Or are you in the jungle with us, ready to get a little muddy for a better world?
That's the challenge, folks. Are we willing to look at ourselves the way Jane Goodall looked at chimpanzees, curiously, critically, but always hopefully? Let us know your answer, share the episode, and start a conversation wherever you are.
Here's to more wild debates, more open minds, and a lot more laughter along the way. Remember, the world's complicated, so let's not settle for lazy answers or easy outrage.
Big thanks to Jane for joining me, and to all of you for listening to the Daily World Pod by Zebra Truth. If today fired you up or just made you think twice, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and check out our website, zebratruth.com. Download the app and stay curious, stay connected.
Catch you next time, everyone. And hey, if you see someone arguing about bananas or elections, just remind them, sometimes democracy really is a chimp troop fighting over fruit. Later.